Friday, January 3rd, 2020. Another day trading recap here. There was a lot going on this morning. I was surprised at how much activity there was in the pre-market and how much volume there was for some movers this morning. I took a few trades. One did not work out, but I got shook out of it. And then I took a late short, my first short of the year. And I'll get into that. But first I want to look at AMD. I was thinking of getting into AMD early this morning because it was moving. When you look at the daily chart, you could see that it gapped down today after having a nice big day yesterday that I missed out on. I made a video yesterday about that, how I missed out on that big move yesterday by getting whipped out early in the day and then not deciding to get back in, which was a mistake. But AMD was one that definitely was on my radar. And I thought about getting in here, put a little arrow here. If you look at the 1 minute chart, I think it's a little clearer as to why I was thinking of getting in. There's the VWAP. It had broken back above VWAP here after having kind of a shaky morning. Above VWAP, below VWAP. You see the 200 moving average on this 1 minute chart as well. So I was thinking of getting in, but a clear indication of when to get in probably would have been the break and hold of this 200 moving average on a 5 minute chart, which once it did that, you could see here, had a nice big green bar after it broke through there, and that would have been probably the time to get in around 48.70. That would have been close to the opening range break, the 30-minute opening range break, 48.70-ish, and you could have ridden that up to about 49.38 for over 50 cents. So that would have been a nice move. I was thinking to get in here. I'm glad I didn't. I probably would have got whipped out at 48.31, although it did go all the way up to 48.54, so I probably would have taken some profit, but then it went all the way back down to 48.01, so definitely would have gotten stopped out on my remaining shares if I hadn't taken them all out. So AMD again on the radar, didn't take it. I took Uber actually. That popped up. I was barely taking note of it early in the day because it had not a ton of volume and its daily chart activity was not anything really tremendous. You can see here it's been moving up off the lows of the last few months and had a big green bar yesterday, a big green move yesterday, a nice steady rise yesterday actually. So I figured if it could get above the high of yesterday, even though it kind of gapped down, it closed yesterday at 30.99 and it opened today at around, what was it, like 30.66. So I said if it could get around up above that and break this level right here, you can see the topping tails right here, get above that 31 area, I would think about getting in. So I was watching it, and then it interested me because it was moving nicely. So you had to start the day a nice rise off of VWAP, kind of consolidated here, regressed back to VWAP, but then popped off of it. So honestly, I should have probably gotten in. I got in late. I wanted to get in right around here. I kept hesitating. I said, well, 30.98. I wanted to break 31. If it can break 31, that would be preferable. So I didn't take a position at 30.98 area here and waited, and then it popped really fast, and I got in as quick as I could at around 31. What did I get in? 31.14, and it went all the way up to 31.37. So I had a nice 23-cent gain, but I just didn't pull the trigger on an exit. And then when I saw it dropping back down pretty quickly, I got out all my shares at 31.20. So it was only a 6-cent gain. But it did eventually come back down to VWAP, and it just moved sideways all day. So my stop area was 30.98, which was ironically where I was thinking of getting in at first, but then I ended up getting in at 31.14. So only a 16-cent buffer, which is typical of what most of my stops are. I try to keep them fairly tight. It never actually got down there, and now it's starting to move up a little, but you can see it's not a great mover today. I don't think unless it has a big move above the high of the day, it's not going to do much. I'd say this was probably one to watch tomorrow because if it opens up higher than the high of today, it could take off because there's a lot of room on that on this daily chart here. You can see there's a little bit of resistance in this area, but I mean it could make it up to the 33 area if it had enough juice. So I'll be watching Uber not tomorrow, obviously, on Monday. So that was just a kind of a flat trade, just got barely a little bit of profit out of it. Then I did try to trade JD, and I screwed that one up. So JD, you You can see it was moving quick. I'll go on the 1 minute chart. So early in the morning, did have some volume in the pre-market, not a lot. It's a little sketchy, but it was interesting because of its daily chart, and you can see the big move it had yesterday, up, gapping up from a decline over the last week, and then a big move up. So yesterday was a nice move for it, and then I think it's a China stock, and so there's some good news for China trade relations, I think, so that kind of caused it to move. And then today it gapped down again. You can see it started the day around 36.84. So when I was looking at it in the morning, it busted through VWAP and through the 200 moving average on this 1 minute chart, and then it was moving up nice and smooth. Actually, I should have tried to get in after the opening range break here at around 37.18. Could have ridden it all the way up to, for $1, to 38.27. I put an arrow here because this started to consolidate here, and I saw this little shelf, and I said, well, this is nice. You can get in here at around 37.65. The close of the previous day is 37.73. So I think that's what kind of made me nervous. I said, why don't I wait for it to break that? And then I just never got in. But if I had gotten in here at 37.67 area, could have put your stop at around 37.50, 17 cents. And from 37.67, it went all the way up to around 38.28. So that's a nice little move. And I just didn't take it. So then I waited for it to see if maybe I could get the second leg up. And it came back to VWAP, held VWAP, and I said, all right, it's holding VWAP. I'll get in as it starts to rise off VWAP. And I got in at 38.11. And then you could see what happened is it had a big red, look at this volume that came in. It was like it knew I was in, and as I always think this, it knew I was in this trade, and this volume kicked in and stopped me out. So I got out at 37.95. I think it was 37.95, yeah, because I got in at 38.11. Got out at 37.95. For a 16-cent loss. So that was annoying because then you could see what happened after. It came back to VWAP, held it, and then took off. I thought about getting in again here, did not, and it went all the way up to my first original target, which was 38.43. Then I think it rejected a couple highs, and then now it's starting to fade. It's come all the way back down to where it was when I was originally starting to look at it, 38.13. So yeah, that was unfortunate. I missed that move. I missed it again. I have this problem of not wanting to re-enter trades. I'm afraid it'll hurt me twice as bad as if I just take one loss from the trade. So I missed out on that. That was unfortunate. But when you look at it on the 5 minute chart too, it was moving up. This big topping tail should have made me a little bit nervous. But I got in here, and then this big whip, this big drop action just stopped me out, and that was too bad because it did end up moving up to my first target. But I made up for it with a trade of PDD, a short. So this had a nice rise of the day. I was looking at it early in the day for a long, and then it started to top off, and it had some nice pattern here that suggested a short. The reason being, when you look at the 15 minute chart, it had three big candles up, 2 down, came back to the 15 exponential moving average, couldn't hold it and dropped below it, and that's when I got in. I said it kept rejecting this little area here, and I liked that, so I got in at 40.82, I believe it was 40.82. I wanted to get down to 40.54, which it eventually did, but I got out a little early. All my shares at 40.62 for a 20-cent gain on a short here. When you look at it, you can see the cross here. There's a lot of, it's not clean, it's not that clean, but you can see this pattern kind of moving, fading. You can just tell it didn't have a lot of juice. The longs were kind of giving up after this big move up at the beginning of the day. And so as soon as I saw this little regression back to the 20 SMA and it rejected it, I got in here at 40.82 and then wrote it down to 40.62. Got out a little early because it started moving kind of quick. You see these big 3 red bars pulling away from these moving averages. Always makes me a little nervous. So it came down close to my first target, and I just got all my shares. Eventually kind of whipped around here and then did hit it. And now I don't know what it's going to do. It's not a great trade, but for a late day trade, a short, I'm more comfortable taking trades like this later in the day when they're shorts, just because I can kind of read these patterns a little better. So PDD was a nice win. Uber was a nothing trade, barely got anything out of that, and then I messed up on JD, just getting whipped out here, which is unfortunate. But if I had set my stop, I'd have to set it twice as big as it was. It was 16. I think I needed to be a 32-cent buffer for me to withstand this big drop here, and eventually make its way back up. So that's it. Those are my trades. JD.com took a loss on that. PDD took a nice gain on that, short of PDD, and then Uber, which was nothing. I don't know what this might end up. This is what I call when it never hits my target and it never hits my stop. Depending on where it finishes the day, when I keep a log of all my trades, which you should definitely do if you're day trading. It's the best way to learn from your mistakes and as well as from your successes. I'll consider this probably just a push trade. Obviously, I made a little bit of money on that little move up, but I thought it would do a little bit more than that today. Again, I'll be watching Uber on Monday because I think it might have a chance to make a move into that area on the when you look at the daily candles, that it has a little bit of space here to make a move. So that's it. Good luck. Have a good weekend, and I will be back next week.